Okay, Wednesday the 18th, back to lower body. We have two parts. First part is 5, 6, or 7 rounds, single leg deadlifts, front rack squats, reverse pulse lunges, clamshell to raise, and then part 2 is squat holds to a timer. Okay, single leg deadlift. And switch sides. Front rack squat. Can you guys hear all that? Like my ankles, my knees, sometimes my hips, like everything sounds old. Reverse pulse lunges. Reverse pulse. Reverse pulse. And clamshell to raise. This is another one of my favorites. Clamshell, raise, 1. Clamshell, raise, 2. And then our timer is squat holds, okay? So you're just going to hold the squat until it says rest. So, single leg deadlifts. So I'm not going to go crazy over the deadlift form because I talked about it with our straight leg deadlifts. I've talked about it with our swings. So you already know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say your butt goes to the wall behind you, your hips and your butt move backward, not down. They move backward. The natural hinge motion makes your upper back fold to the floor, but it stays nice and straight. It does not hunch, stays nice and straight, and return, okay? That is the gist. Now, your single leg deadlift is gonna look exactly like your straight leg deadlift, except you're doing it on one leg, okay? So, what that means, and you can use, like, if you have your chair near you, you can use your chair, you can use whatever you need to hold on to if you want to. It's obviously only more difficult if you don't hold on. So, what you're doing is, like I just said, everything the same except you're on one leg. So you're gonna lift one leg off the ground. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start my hinge, push my hips backward, my back is gonna start to fold. Naturally, this leg is gonna start to lift up. So I'm not kicking my leg up, I'm not purposely lifting my leg, it's just naturally what happens when you fold forward and you don't have any weight on that leg, okay? So I'm gonna fold forward, my hips are pushing backward. Notice my butt is staying up in the air. It's not squatting down, it's staying up. I'm gonna get to that point where it burns, which is about mid-shin. Stand up, 1. Slow lower, hit that spot, 2. Slow lower, hit that spot, 3. So notice I'm also not reaching down with my weight because that's gonna make my back round, okay? And again, if you need to hold on to something for your balance, that's totally fine. It's not gonna take away the weight that gets put on this single leg. So the point of any isolating single side, single leg, single arm exercise is for all the weight to be on one side. So just by holding my hand right here, it's not taking, if I were to be leaning against it, that would be different. But if I'm just having my hand here placed for balance purposes, it's not gonna take all that weight off of this leg. So if you have to do that, that's totally fine. Obviously, if you're looking for more of a challenge, you're gonna do it without holding on. Again, do not reach with your dumbbell. You might wanna do it a couple times with no weight. If you really are a true beginner also, you can do it with no weight because you're still gonna feel that hamstring pull even with no weight. Most of us have very tight lower backs and very tight hamstrings. So you will feel that pull even with no weight, okay? Front rack squat, this is just a different way. So before we did goblet where you held 1, now we're doing clean to our front rack. So front rack means the weight is in front of your body. I always rest one part of the dumbbell on my shoulder. So I kind of hold them a little bit diagonal. And then you're just gonna hit your regular squat. So all that it is that you just have the weight on the front of your body, like so. And you can also do that touch and go or full sit. reverse pose lunges. You can hold a dumbbell in each hand if you want to make these harder. You can do it with no weight if you don't want to. So this is our reverse lunge, which we talked about lunging before. So you're going to step back, you're going to lunge, okay? But now you're going to add a pulse. So you're going to go back, bounce, return. 1. Lunge, bounce, return. 2. So that pulse is just a quick bounce in your lunge. Lunge, bounce, up, lunge, bounce, up. Very simple. And clamshell to raise. You're gonna lay on your side like a bathing beauty. Your heels are gonna be in line with your butt. So your knees are bent, but it's not bent like this. Bring it forward so your heels are in line with your butt. Now you're going to clamshell, which is taking this top leg and opening it at the hip. Open, that's your clamshell, and then you're going to raise. When you raise, you're going to keep it in the same shape and just lift at the hip, okay? So open at the hip, lift at the hip. 1, open, lift. 2, open, lift. 3. If you are someone with tight hips, tight IT band hip flexors, this one might bother you, okay? But it's good to know if you are tight, because doing this will help, okay? It's gonna be a good stretch for you either way. But if you're like, oh my God, why does that hurt so bad? Or if you almost feel like you're gonna hit Charlie horse, it's probably because you have either a tight IT band, which runs on the side of your leg, or hip flexors, which mine are always tight. So that's very common too. And then our part 2 is squat holds. So we're gonna go to our timers app. We're gonna set our timer for 25 to 35 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, 4 rounds per Tabata. We're doing it 4 times. And you're just going to get into a squat and hold it, okay? Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. You can do a narrow squat. You can do a sumo hold. You can do regular. You can switch it every time. It doesn't matter. But you are going to sink down and you're going to hold it until it says rest, okay? So after a leg day, that is going to be quite difficult.